Problems have life cycles that can be divided into 3 stages. The first stage is called the emergent stage. The emergent stage is where the problem has no immediate threat. It would be equivalent to your car having a low level of oil in it. You can still drive the car for a while, and once you put more oil in your car, the problem would be solved. It's not of immediate threat. It's an emergent stage in problem solving. The second stage is called the mature stage. That is where the problem is more than a minor nuisance. Some damage has already been done. That would be like you driving your car with a worn bearing. If you don't change the bearing, your car will break down. Some damage has been done, and you need to pay close attention to fixing the bearing in your car. And then the third stage is called the crisis stage. That's when the problem is now life-threatening to the organization. And if this problem is not fixed, the organization could cease to function effectively or cease to function altogether. That would be equivalent to you driving your car on a very busy highway with no oil or very little oil, with the heat temperature very, very high, and smoke coming out of your engine. It is crisis time, and you are going to break down and cannot use that car anymore. The emergent stage, the mature stage, and the crisis stage. Obviously, the easiest and the best stage, which should be taken care of in terms of problem solving, is at the emergent level. At the emergent level, you can solve the problem and move on. The resources demanded will not have to be heavy and great. Once the problem gets to the mature level, it becomes more complicated. And at the crisis level, who knows if it could even be solved to any satisfactory position. Let us now discuss the 7 steps that you and I as managers must follow if you and I are going to solve problems in our organization, in our departments, even for us personally. These are 7 proven steps. When followed accurately and well, you are capable of solving your problems efficiently and with a great deal of satisfaction. Here's the first one. Identify the problem. The question becomes, how do you identify a problem? You determine what things are like when everything is going well. What do things look like when everything is A-OK, when everything is wonderful? Determine what things are like when everything is going well. And then decide how much variation from the norm is tolerable. You decide how much variation can you tolerate without it becoming uncomfortable. If then there is more variation than you can tolerate, what do you have? A problem. That's how you identify if you have a problem or not. At the crisis stage, it's easy to identify a problem. At the emergent stage, it may not be as easy unless you have policies and procedures in place. Unless you define what is that variation and what do things look like. If I had my way, how would things look? And then how much variation from that picture can I tolerate without my organization suffering? So identify the problem. Secondly, analyze the problem. In other words, determine what makes the situation a problem. Why is it a problem? What exactly has taken place? Where has it taken place? How? When? Who's involved? Analyze what that problem is. And then thirdly, describe the problem. I've written many books over the years, and I can tell you that every time I write a book, the first thing I do before I write the first word of that book is take a piece of paper and a pencil, and in one sentence, in 12 words or less, I write what that book is all about. If I cannot define clearly and accurately what that book is going to be about, that book could be very, very confusing to the reader. Focus on what it is. Identify it, analyze it, and then in one statement describe what the problem really is. If you can't do that, there is no point trying to follow up with solutions because you haven't yet described what the exact problem is. Here's the fourth step in problem solving. Look for root causes. What are those things with individuals or groups of individuals, with departments or with machines that cause this problem? Many managers tend to solve problems at the symptomatic stage. They look for the symptoms and solve the symptoms. What happens when you do that? The problem occurs and reoccurs all over again. What we must do is find out the exact cause of the problem. And when you know the cause of the problem, you can then somehow solve the very thing that caused the problem in the first place. For example, if I were to have a cold today, if I were sick, if I could determine exactly how and when I caught this cold, what caused this cold, then what would happen? I would know the root cause. If, for example, I determined that I took a bath and then I went out in the rain, and that gave me a cold, then I would know next time when I take a bath, I should not go out in the rain. Therefore, solving the root cause of the problem. Number 5, develop alternative solutions. What might be the solutions to this problem? Think of as many solutions as you can, pass no judgments on them, and be creative. And be creative. Here's point 6. The 6th step to problem solving is to implement a decision. Now, you can implement a decision. Go ahead, select an alternative solution that works well, and implement it. And I want to share with you a little secret. The manager who implements decisions properly, effectively, and consistently is the man or woman who always thinks in advance. What might go wrong as I implement this decision? And if that were to happen, how would I react? What would I do? I always say to managers, think of 2 or 3 things that might go wrong, and then have strategies to somehow overcome them. If you don't do that, then something might go wrong. It's a surprise to you. You did not anticipate it, and the result will never be as effective as you had hoped for. And then the 7th step, measure results. Measure results. Now that we have solved this whole situation, was it the right decision? Did I pick the right alternative? How do I know? I measure the results. Are the results in keeping with the philosophy and the mission and the vision of this company? Did the results bring for me and my department and my organization what I wanted? Because if they didn't, then we have to go back and correct and make amendments so that we do have more reasonable solution to these problems. The most effective problem solving involves the use of your creative right mind, your right mind, to imagine solutions and then to use the logical left brain so that you can evaluate them. You see, my friends, good ideas emerge from great brainstorming. Walt Disney, who began Disney World and is known the world over for his creativity and ingenuity, used to bring a group of his people together, place them in a room, take a board and say, give me your ideas. Just throw them at me. And then take every idea and put it up on the board and stick it on that board. Brainstorming means when you ask your people to solve a problem, you ask them for solutions, but you pass no judgment on the solutions. You say, what ideas do you have that would work in solving this problem? Given to me. You don't say that's good, that's bad. You just say, let's put all the ideas on the board and decide later what happens. I like the story about the father who comes home one day and finds that his 2 daughters were fighting over who is going to get the bigger piece of the pie, a Apparently in the refrigerator there was some pie left, a piece of a cake. And the older daughter said, Daddy, I deserve the bigger piece of the pie because I am the older daughter and seniority reigns. And the younger daughter said, oh no, Dad, when Mom left for work, she said that I should do certain chores. I did every one of them. And so as a reward, I ought to get the bigger piece of the pie. Now there was the father, 2 daughters, loves them both equally. And he's thinking, how do I solve this problem? So he said, girls, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to go to the kitchen. I am going to get a sharp knife. I am going to take this cake, this pie, and I'm going to divide it in 2 equal halves. And I'm going to give you one, and I'm going to give you one. And the older daughter said, no, Daddy, that's no good. I told you I'm the older girl. I deserve the bigger piece of the pie. And the younger daughter said, no, Daddy, that's no good. I deserve the bigger piece because I did my work. Perplexed as to how we could solve this problem in a way that both would be happy. Isn't that the magic of problem solving? Win, win, agreements, not just solutions. Bring us together as a team, so when we move forward with commitment. He said, girls, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip a coin. And the older girl, or the younger girl, who wins, who determines how the coin is going to land correctly, that girl gets to pick her piece of the pie first. And the other one who doesn't win this little flip of the coin gets to cut the pie. When he flipped the coin, and when they cut the pie, how do you think the pie was cut? Right down the middle, in 2 exactly equal halves. Because to have done anything differently than that would have meant one of them would have lost. And they, in their own way, in their own time, solved that problem. For the manager, the father, who had not been able to solve the problem to the satisfaction of everyone. There's a lesson in that. The lesson is problem solving in our businesses today can happen when we involve people, when we ask for their opinions, when we brainstorm for their suggestions. And then when they solve that problem, it is their solution. They are committed to it. They believe in it. And they're much more likely to follow through and make things happen. Oh, the manager who knows how to solve problems is the one moving towards greater performance and consequently will help his or her company towards greater profitability. Yes, being successful doesn't mean you don't have problems. It means that you know how to solve problems. When you apply the 7 steps that we presented in this session together, you'll be able to solve problems quickly, effectively, and consistently. And when you do so, you feel good about it, your team feels good about it, and your company benefits in great ways.